Hi everyone! Today I want to talk about the Labyrinth event in the Shadow of the Mad King. The Halloween event has been live for a few days now and I've been participating in the Labyrinth event with others. I haven't been commanding any of the runs this year, but I try to join every day this year and I've been in different commanders parties and I've been with different players because of that. However, I noticed that some players don't follow certain unspoken rules which really impact our enjoyment and rewards. Now, these aren't official rules, so you're not obligated to follow them, but keeping these in mind can help ensure that everyone has a great time and benefits from this event. In this video, I'll share my thoughts on the behaviors and some strategies I personally use in the Labyrinth. If you find this helpful, please drop a like and share it with your friends so they can learn how to best navigate the Labyrinth and fully enjoy the event together with everyone. And without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with the importance of reading looking for group boss before joining a group. Different runs have different goals. Some may focus on maximizing their loot, while others might be more casual. Knowing what type of run you are joining really enhances your experience, so you'll find these looking for group boss under the looking for group, festivals, and large squads. You can also find this here because it's too hard to click the festivals and select the large squads. Anyway, there are other stuff in the central area. So it's not just focused on Labyrinth, there are jumping puzzles as well here. So I advise you to check the festivals tab for the large squads. I'll explain these posts in more detail so you'll know exactly what to look for in your Labyrinth run. And if you're still looking for group posts mentioning green doors like this, plus Steve is the Labyrinth terror, I'll explain it later. It typically means that the group will only engage in the mob doors, which are the green doors, and skip the boss fights, which are the purple doors. This approach is common among players aiming for higher profit, as mob doors offer better loots since they spawn mobs continually, and while killing the boss only gives out one large boss loot bag. But actually I don't like this method because killing the boss also gives you a buff which increases your magic finds, which I like to have a higher magic find in the lab. But like I said, people prefer green doors for better profits, so if you want to do the just green doors, you should check for the green door boss, like this one. And on the other hand, the all doors ones means the group will kill everything, including the purple doors. This kind of run is generally great among those looking for more thorough killing everything in the Labyrinth path. And like I said, I like to do this method more than the green doors method because you get a buff which increases your magic point, and I must say I was doing Labyrinth run with my brother and he dropped a precursor during this Labyrinth run because we had higher magic point, I guess. I don't know. Well, before jumping into a NA run, it's always a good idea to understand what's the commander's plan, and each group might have a slightly different approach to the Labyrinth, so you know what we will do if you just read the posts here. That way you will align your expectations with the group goals. Taking this small step makes it for a smoother and enjoyable experience for everyone. So if you want to do purple doors, but you enter a green door one and open a purple door, it will just ruin everyone's fun in that squad. Please don't do that. And I'll continue on my next point. Next up, let's talk about Steve. You might see players mentioning Steve in their looking for group posts, and here is why. Steve is the Labyrinthine horror that randomly spawns from the red walls throughout the labyrinths. There are certain locations that it can spawn, but you'll see a red wall where it can spawn. If left unchecked, Steve will chase everyone around and cause quite a bit of a chaos in your squad. I don't remember the reason behind the name Steve, but it's became well accepted term in the community, so it's stuck like that. It's essential to take down Steve quickly, otherwise you'll find yourself running around the labyrinth with Steve chasing you everywhere. And let's be honest, as you can see, Steve has a knack for showing up at the worst possible moments. I mean, we were killing the boss and it just showed up. Yeah. So yeah, you need to be ready. You never know when you might need to deal with him. And every party, even the green doors ones, even if they don't kill every boss, kills Steve, so they don't have to deal with him while doing other stuff. And okay, now that we covered Steve, let's move on to our next point. One important rule to keep in mind is no mounts in the labyrinth. I heard about some mount runs where you use your workflow, which was introduced with Chanter Vials. In the labyrinth, you can dash with your workflow to tag the mobs and hit them with your lance, I guess. The damage is not too high on the workflow, maybe that's a great idea, but I'm not sure. I like to keep it on the floor and just run around. So the idea is to keep everyone grounded and rely on our basic attacks instead of the mount skill, which is I guess the Sky Scales Fireball skill is the most damage and people usually use that one. Sky Scales Fireball can hit the mobs and one-shot them. If you use our basic attacks, this ensures everyone has a fair chance to tag enemies and secure their loot. And of course you can mount up to catch up the squad if you fall behind. So no mount doesn't mean you have to walk and try to catch up on foot if you are far behind, but once you are with the group you can just dismount. I mean, if you're far back, you just use your Sky Scale, fly to us, catch up to the in front of the group and dismount. Don't hit anything, don't use your mount skills in any way. So if we stick to our feet, it will keep things fair and fun for everyone. Yeah, that's it for the mounts. Okay, let's move on. Next, let's discuss the role of commander in the labyrinth. The commander is one who writes the looking for group posts, so if you want to command, that will be your job and you will be setting your specific goals for your run. As you mentioned earlier, it's crucial to read these looking for group posts to understand what the squad aims to achieve and what your commander's trying to do in their run. And there are a few key points to keep in mind while commanding or following a commander. First thing I want to mention is remember not to open the doors unless you are the commander. There's a reason behind the door opening stuff, I'll mention it later, but the commander opens the door to maximize the rewards from those encounters. So just be patient and let your commander open the doors. Another thing that you should be careful while following a commander is trying not to take charge of the group. Commander usually leads the way, and we are doing a clockwise run in this particular moment, but I like to do the counterclockwise run because I have a path that I take to visit certain places and I sometimes forget if I do the clockwise one, but it's completely up to commander, and it doesn't change anything. You just have to follow the commander and help him help the commander lead the way any way they want. And if you're interested in commanding, one thing you should be doing is controlling the doors. So as I mentioned before, there is a certain way that commanders open the doors. So you should wait for everyone to gather in front of the door before opening it. I mean, if you just rush in front of the door and open the door, the scaling won't be as good as if you wait to tail to catch up and there will be more people in front of the door. That way, it will maximize everyone's chances of getting the best possible loot, and the door will scale as best as it can. And another thing you should be careful while commanding is the visiting to the center of the map. I usually take half moon road, something sort of like that. Like I enter from right or left of the map every time I went that particular section, and enter the center, clear the mobs in the center, and continue from where I entered the center. This will allow for mobs to respawn and give everyone a better loot when we clear the central area of the map. And also there is one more thing I want to mention. This commander divided the groups into sub-squads. I don't like to do that, because when you're healing, if you are in a subgroup, you just heal your subgroup. But if there are more people in the group, it kind of randomizes it. So that's why I don't like to do subgroups. But again, it's up to your commander. If they want to do it like that, you can't ask them. You can ask them, but it won't change anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it for commanding. And lastly, the breaks. Breaks are crucial. You need to take breaks. We all are human and we all have needs. So if the commander isn't taking breaks, just don't hesitate to take break yourself. A good time to take a break is right after finishing the green doors. Usually commanders do that as well. So it will give some time for those doors to respawn, and it will be nice to rest a little bit. Your well-being is important, so don't force yourself to keep going if you need a moment to recharge. And yeah, now that is it for the commanding in the labyrinth. I'll move on to the next point, and yeah. Next up is the Magic Find buff. This buff is crucial when you're farming the loot in the labyrinth, as it increases your chances of finding rare and valuable items. To enhance your loot chances, make sure you get your infusions and guild buffs for Magic Find. These are easy to get if you have a good guild with upgrades and you have access to some of the infusions from laurels. In addition to those, there are some other Magic Find sources like foods and utility items. Also fireworks if you have them from the New Year's, Chinese New Year event. They often provide a Magic Find boost, and participating in mount races and defeating labyrinth bosses can grant you stacking Magic Find buff, which is why I'm doing the labyrinth bosses. Yeah, this is the reason I like to take them down. And opening Halloween bags are not affected by Magic Find, but while I'm not entirely sure how much the drops are influenced, the Halloween bag drops are influenced, I saw my brother drop a precursor weapon from the mobs in the labyrinth. So it's definitely worth your while to increase your Magic Find, since we are killing tons of mobs in the labyrinth. And yeah, that's it for the Magic Finds. Next up, let's discuss your builds in the labyrinth. I'll show my build later on, but when wandering around the labyrinth, minimizing the damage is more important than dealing it. So it's best to equip gears such as Minstrel or I guess Giver or stuff like that, which doesn't have power or condition damage in the stats. So tagging is the key in the Labyrinth. In order to do that, we should consider weapons with AoE effects, area of effect, auto attacks, since they are far more effective when tagging enemies. Also, it would be good if that weapon is also a ranged weapon. And some options include Revenant, which has a great short bow auto attack, which can deal AoE damage. Also, short bow of Thief has a nice bouncing effect, which can tag more than one enemy. Other than that, Guardians get some... Yeah, Guardians get Spear in the Gentry Vials, and it's kind of like old stuff where you deal like con damage in front of you, but old stuff was way better than the new Spear, so I don't want to compare it that much. Every class has something like that. For example, Engineer has a toolkit, Fire Flamethrower. You can use that in the Labyrinth. People usually run Necro. Also, you need to read the... Again, I'm saying this. You need to read the squad message in the looking for group. Some groups look for core Necros. I never been in one of those runs, but they do something like that as well. And now I'll show my build that I use in the Labyrinth. And before mentioning those, there are stuff like Druid Healer and Tempest Healer. If you wanna go with the healing route, because healing is now effective. If you heal or boon another player, you will get a participation from their kill. So it's important to know what you can do with these, with your class. But there is no specific best one, you just have to play what you are best at. And now I'm gonna show what I'll be playing, what I'm playing in the Labyrinth. It's this one. Now I'll be showing my build for the Labyrinth. I'm using Revenant as my Labyrinth character, I say. It has a great tagging potential, and you don't have to get into combat with this one. I'm using healer gears. It's Giver, it doesn't have any power in it, it's just toughness, healing, power, concentration. And I'm using Wayfinder Relic. If you have Legendary Relic, I strongly advise you to use this one because it gives you passive movement speed and it gives you super speed when you enter combat. Like I said, I try not to enter into combat. If I use my impossible odds, I'll grant boons to my allies and I also heal them. And the Legendary Dragon Stance has much more boons in it, like I can give out these boons, and regeneration is also a heal, so that's also beneficial. Sometimes I use Melandru in Centaur stance instead of the hero because of the bubble, this bubble. And again for the heals. And as I mentioned before, you should have 2 builds for the Labyrinth. I am using this power quick herald for the bosses. And like I said, it's up to you which build you wanna use in the Labyrinth. I'd say you should bring whatever you are comfortable with. It doesn't have to be Revenant, but like I said, it's easier to tag with this one because of the heals and the buffs and the boons and the other stuff. And yeah, that is pretty much it for my builds. I can show, yeah, this is my build. It's Salvation, Invocation, and Herald. This is the one that I run around in the Labyrinth. And yeah, that's it for my build. And that wraps up our guide on Labyrinth Etiquette and strategies. I hope you found these tips helpful for your next adventure in the Labyrinth. Remember, since we are in a squad, teamwork is key to making most of your runs. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. Your support means a lot and it helps me create more guides like this. Thank you for watching and good luck in the Labyrinth.